It is September 11th, 2022, and you are invited to enjoy this 100 photo pictorial of the Queen's last journey from Balmoral College to Edinburgh. Now, as you can see, this is the map of the trip. She starts in Balmoral, where she passed away, and she'll end up in Edinburgh. There she is, starting the cortege from Balmoral, where she passed away. And it's a 7-car cortege. The second vehicle, there she is, she's draped in the Scottish flag with her favorite flowers, which are the dahlia and the sweet peas, I believe. You're going to see some magnificent photos of the Scottish countryside. It's pretty amazing. It was a 6-hour drive. This will just be a few minutes of the countryside, and I'll try to describe some of the places they're going through. The first major city is Aberdeen, where she would fly into and spend 7 weeks a year at her Balmoral estate. I think it's 65 acres of lush Scottish land. She would ride her Range Rover and ride her horses and just have a fantastic time. The first little town we come into is Ballator, and this is Ballator. They slowed down the cortege each time for the villages, and of course the major cities they slowed down, and on the highways they sped up. But it's called A93, and that's the road she would take each year from Aberdeen to Balmoral. Princess Anne is the second car, the Bentley, in this cortege they call it. I'll let the pictures do most of the talking. As I said, sweet peas. Then they're going to go through little towns called Banchory. Of course, the big city is Aberdeen, which is coming up. Then there's a city, little townships called Dundee and Perth, and of course, the final destination is her castle in Edinburgh, which is the Scottish home. But next Monday, you're never going to see a funeral like this in your life. She served 70 years on the crown. Today was amazing to watch the procession. And this next one, I think, is, they called it Operation Unicorn. The funeral, the whole thing is called Operation London Bridge, but this particular event, and she's overseen this every year, 3 times a year. They plan her funeral. She knows every element of it. She had to sign off every time they do something here. As you know, she went up in Kenya when she first, at 21 years old. She went up a tree and came as a princess, and she came down a queen. And since that day, they never planned for any deaths. So from that day to this day, all the royals always travel with a black suit or black dress, depending on their gender, of course, in case there is a death. Because had she known her father was going to die, she would have worn a black dress, but she didn't on that occasion. Let me see here. What else? I made a few little notes. I mean, the pageantry, pomp and circumstance is amazing. It's, generations old. Everything's played to the T. It's really quite amazing. There was a little town called Angus that they went through. You might know that 90% of the people living on the planet were born during her reign in the last 70 years. 9 out of 10 people were born during her reign. Amazing. These little towns, Dundee is one of them. It's just, the countryside is magnificent. I hope you enjoy these pictures. I certainly enjoyed watching the procession. There she is again. I think that is Dundee. And she's going to end up at the palace in Holyrood, which is the residence of the British royal family. And the military guards will pick her up. But the anticipation from this cortege, and behind the cortege was another cortege, which was the backup of the backup, which meant they had a hearse standing by in case the the first hearse broke down. And I believe they had one after that in case the second hearse broke down. So it was planned to the T. The big arrival here at, what is this? It's a Queensborough crossing right here. That's the Queensborough crossing that leads into Edinburgh, the Scottish capital. She loves Scotland. Now King Edward is King of Scotland. And the anticipation was really palpable. The broadcasters weren't the hottest. They said, any minute, and minute after minute. No one really knew when they were arriving, but it was planned to the T. And here's some pictures of the crowd in Edinburgh. I think I'm saying it right, Edinburgh. It was very silent. People paid their respect. And it was, I would imagine, a couple 100,000 people easily along the route. And it's, like I say, slowed down whenever there was a crowd. And people paying their last respect to something that you'll never see again. We'll never have a reign of 70 years, I can imagine. Not in my lifetime, anyway. There's more pictures of Edinburgh. The greenery, because it rains quite often in Scotland. The whole countryside is green, and even the cities. But Edinburgh is quite a big city. It's the capital of Scotland. There's some aerial photography was quite good. It was an amazing day, and this next week, every day is going to be amazing. So let you enjoy these pictures of Edinburgh. Some people say Edinburgh. They waited all day long, and it didn't rain till after she was put into the palace. It was pretty amazing. That's the church here in Edinburgh. This was one of the big spots where they gathered, watched her go by. So instead of spending 6 hours watching, you can spend 2 minutes watching this. I thought this would be enjoyable for my ambassadors. The private channel would be fantastic. Like I said, Prince Anne was the only royal in attendance for the procession, the cortege, they called it. 6 hours it took to drive from Balmoral to Edinburgh. And what was also of note is the first little city, what was it called, where she would shop a lot. Bancory, I believe it is. She would go into the local butcher shop. And, she was just a regular person, she was a queen. She was quite personable. People loved her. So she would go shopping by herself. It was pretty amazing. Pretty low-key there, but the mansions along the route were great. There they are carrying her into the palace. There's a couple of videos I shot right after this, just to show you the procession. There was many, today there was some proclamations in Wales, in a couple different places. I can't read my notes. Here's the proclamations for the new king, of course. Wales. These are the videos of her arriving. A little bit out of order, apologize. But it is what it is. And that's the picture of the castle.